What's good, everybody? It is your boys, Rip and Burn, for another NFL season here on the Rickety Pickett broadcast show here on YouTube, exclusively on YouTube this year. A lot has happened since we were last here. We have a new Super Bowl winner. We have a new Super Bowl MVP. Jaylen Brown doesn't play for the Boston Celtics anymore. The Knicks finally won a championship. But all sorts of weird things have happened since the last time we talked back in February, Bernie. First of all, let's welcome you in. Let's welcome in the audience to YouTube. If you are following us from over on Facebook, it's super easy. Rickety Pickett on Facebook, you can find us. And then here on, obviously, YouTube, just type in Rickety Pickett, and here we are. We have all the content. Bernie, what have you been up to, and what's going on, kid?
Not much, man. You know, we hit that lull in the summer here where it's kind of like only baseball right now, which is fine because even me growing up as a Yankees fan, my old man being a Yanks fan, watching this Red Sox team, it's fun to watch what they're doing. They're just gritting out games, and even last night finding a way to win, and they're doing it without Crochet, without Anthony, so. That's been, baseball's been keeping me a little bit interested, but I'm ready for football. I always say I want football to be here, but when that happens, it means summer's over. But I mean, summer's now over, so let's just get into some football at this point. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So this is going to be the first time for all you guys tuning in that we've done like some sort of a preseason show. I think every year we've tried to make this broadcast a little bit better, a little bit more fresh. We started off like in the early years, Bernie, when he was we lived closer together, we would, record a podcast kind of thing. And then we went from like doing it on Facebook Live and doing it on our phones and all sorts of ways. And we hope that what you're seeing right now and how we're broadcasting is much better. And as we've progressed and evolved through this. But our first preseason show that we decided to do was an AFC preseason where we're going to go through all the divisions, North, South, West, and East, and give our predictions on how we think those will shake out for those divisions, and hopefully give you some plays at the end of the show of what we think for division winners. And hopefully those would cash for you as futures bets going forward. So with that being said, anything else to add before we get this thing off and running, dude?
No, I mean, not really. There's been a lot of shakeup kind of in the NFL as well. A lot of movements. We'll be talking about it today with a lot of coaching changes and players leaving to go to different spots, and big pickups by teams, and we start to see a little bit of injuries happen in the preseason. So anybody who like drafts fantasy like I do, like I hope you wait till the end of the preseason, because if you don't and you draft some of these guys, like you're already screwed if you have some guys that you were hoping were going to be legit contenders for your team, and then they blow a knee out in practice. So there's been a lot of change, and even in the preseason there's been some bang up injuries that kind of changed the landscape of things.
And then obviously, Bernie, I'm not the fantasy guy anymore that I used to be, but if you have any obviously any fantasy takes you want to throw, we're obviously going through these divisions and certain players on teams. Throw them out there for the folks. I'm sure they'd love to hear it. So we're going to start off first with the AFC North division. Division winners last year. It was kind of a tough go. It had some injuries between Lamar Jackson, between Joe Burrow, so that kind of like shook up the division a little bit. But how do you see this division? I think we both agree, and the number 4 spot is pretty accurate. It's going to be the Browns.
Yeah, and I like what the Browns have done outside of quarterback. The Cleveland, they always have a great defense. They're always going to finish the top of the league in a lot of defensive stats. They did get rid of Myles Garrett, obviously a big blunder to their offense, to their defensive line. But they got Jared Verse in return, who is also a Pro Bowler and younger. So it's not like they just dumped him for a bunch of picks and you don't know what they got in return. They got a guy that's a Pro Bowler and maybe can anchor that defense. And then they drafted a lot of young wideouts that I like. Denzel Boston, Concepcion, two guys that are really good, future cornerstones for their offense. The problem is who's getting them the ball. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's if it's not Shedeur. If I were the Browns, like I don't know why they're going back to Watson. I mean, I do know why because they paid him a bunch of money, but
exactly
I would
why.
probably,
Money
yeah,
makes
you
all
know
the
what I
difference.
mean? Yeah, for sure. I would, if I were them, I would roll Shadur out there and just see what you got maybe a little bit. He did have some flashes last year when he was in there. He made the Pro Bowl, right? Didn't he make the Pro Bowl because the Pro Bowl's a joke?
I
He
did.
might have,
I honestly, don't even
but
pay attention. I can't.
yeah, I don't either. I don't either. But I do like their direction. They're just like almost any other NFL team where they need somebody to get people the ball. But with that being said, in that division,
Yeah, I mean, it feels
they're,
like
they're
they're
definitely
doing
last
the right
place.
thing. That feels like they're doing the right thing. They're drafting well. Like you said, they lost Myles Garrett to the Rams, but you know what? It was one of those moves that you kind of need to make if you want to like kind of revamp the culture of a team and actually start being serious. I mean, if you
Yeah,
know, because what do they say? The definition of insanity: you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. And if that's your
yeah.
leader on the team and you're not really working for you, it doesn't mean he can't be a piece somewhere else. So, but I think we both agree that the Shador Sanders, Deshaun Watson thing, when you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. So that's going to be a major, major issue for those guys. Coming in third, though, I have the Steelers, and you also have the Steelers. So for me, the Steelers, it's because they're older. They're like getting very long in the tooth, and it's not just an Aaron Rodgers thing. I mean, we're talking T.J. Watt, a little long in the tooth, Cam Hayward, Jalen Ramsey, who I totally forgot even plays for them anymore, and like Jalen
Hmm.
Ramsey, a name from the past that used to be really good. But they're just starting to become an old team. So I think this is like a make or break year for them, obviously, with Aaron Rodgers retiring. But this is his final curtain call. But what says you?
Yeah, I mean, DK Metcalf is, he's not old, but in wide receiver talk, he's old. You know what I mean? He's not like
Yeah,
us old, but he's, wide receiver old. Didn't really have a great year last year. They brought in Michael Pittman Jr., which is good. He'll be
yep,
okay. Cute pickup, but like it's not going to be anything that's going to like push them over the top. And the NFC North, the AFC North is like the NFC South to me, where you have a lot of teams that are kind of that middle of the road. They're not great, but um, they're going to win with like a 10 wins gets them the division kind of thing. Especially since, I mean, Baltimore can be off and running, no pun intended, but it's all about Lamar's health. So I just Pittsburgh is consistently that 500 team. When it was Tomlin, now it's McCarthy, and we were talking about it before we came on air here that I was saying if you look at the history, anytime a team has a new coach, it takes them a little while to you know get to where they want to be with that coach. Like first year head coaches usually don't come in and just turn things around unless you're Mike Vrabel, evidently.
yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean,
So what
but
do
I
you?
mean,
So
usually.
so from this kid multitask. Are you texting and doing this at the same time?
Am I?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's like a clicking. I'm like, it sounds like
Oh
someone typing. I'm like, what? I'm like, this kid's like typing, looking up stats and everything.
no.
Like,
I'm,
what? Wicked.
I'm fidgeting with a pen because I
Just,
got ADD
just
and I
wicked
can't keep my
fidgety.
hands
Yeah,
still.
ADD. Um,
Fidgety Pickett over here.
so I know, fidgety Pickett. Yeah. So I know, obviously, from a fantasy standpoint, like, what do you think about the Rico Dowdle signing too? Rico Dowdle running back.
I like it. I like him, but again, he's not. They didn't sign. He's not even a David Montgomery. Like he's
Yeah.
a good player, and he adds to that. But they want to get Jalen Warren involved as well. So there's going to be a two-headed monster there. I
Yeah.
like it. Fantasy wise, I would take Rico Dowdle late on a flyer, but just because he has more pop than Warren and he catches the ball out of the backfield, he's someone that can, bust off some big runs. We saw it last year with Carolina, where there was a couple game stretch where he looked like the best player in
Yeah.
football. But he's in there with Warren. He's not. They're going to split touches, split carries, split catches. So again, it's the same as Pittman. I like it. It's a cute signing, but it's not something that you're like. It's not a Miles Garrett trade. It's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they traded for somebody that you're like, holy crap. So.
Yeah. Well, this is where we differ. Who we think is going to win the division between the Ravens and the Bengals. Um, I'll go first on this one. I like the Bengals here because if not now, when? For Joe Burrow. I realize he made a Super Bowl not too long ago, but it just seems like he's been bit by this injury bug thing. The team was 5-3 before he went down. The offense was great last year, but as we know, their defense was absolutely putrid. They signed Dexter Lawrence on the defensive side, which is going to be a huge, huge sign for them out of the Giants. It should help up that defense a little bit. But I just do think it's their time to. And I know you go to the head coach part of it. It's like I think it's this year they have the rebound. I think there's a little sense of urgency where maybe these guys play with a little bit more, little sense of urgency. They play with a little bit more urgency and actually win this division. And I would have the Ravens second, but you have we have them flip flopped. Why you say the Ravens over the Bengals?
Just the Ravens have just kind of always been the team to win that division. Lamar, for the most part, has been healthy throughout his career. I mean, he did have some bumps last year, and I don't know if it was the year before where he kind of got hurt and they didn't really rush him back or not. They weren't really sure what to do with him. But this is where I think a change of scenery in coaching will actually help. I think that they can maybe unlock some things offensively where before it was just like Derrick Henry all the time. Maybe they can get something out of their wide receivers that they haven't, in the past, and maybe that's a scheme thing. Maybe that's a play call situation. I'm not sure, but their defense. I like their defense a lot. They added. Did they add Hendrickson? They added Hendrickson, didn't they? The Baltimore
the Ravens. They got him. That was the big.
They went to Max Crosby, and then they said just kidding, and then they got Hendrickson, right?
Oh, we don't want him. Just kidding.
Yeah. Psych. So so they got and Cincinnati. It's always just been their defense and can they stay healthy. Now, if Burrow stays healthy and they can keep him upright, then they can be to the moon because you got T. Higgins, you got the best wide receiver in football in Jamar Chase. They got Chase Brown at running back, who's like really come on as like a top 10 fringe, maybe like after this year, we might be talking about him as like close to a top 5 running back in this league. It's just a matter of health and Joe Burrow staying upright. But if he can, this team, the Bengals are the perfect Madden team. Like if you were going to pick a team you wanted to play with in Madden, like who cares about defense?
Yeah.
I'm going to score 60 points and beat you.
Yeah.
It's just like roll back with Burrow, throw it to T. Higgins, throw it to Jamar, dump the ball off to Chase, and smoke teams. But it's just a health thing for me, and they gotta show me before I believe it.
Yeah, and I just think looking at like before we did the show and everything, looking at the moves that they made on defense, Jonathan Allen from the Vikings to help with the defensive line. And then on the back end, I didn't even realize they got this. They got Brian Cook and Kyle Duggar to play safety for them on the back end. So I was like, wow, I mean, they actually did address some needs on the defensive side, because that was the big question mark for me, because, I think I probably watched maybe a couple Cincinnati games. They're always good to tune into when Joe Burrow is playing. But that Patriots game they played last year against each other, I was just like, oh my God. Yeah, I mean, they made the Patriots defense look bad, but the Patriots just absolutely cooked Cincinnati. I remember I had an over in that game, and it was like, I think it was pretty much went over by the third quarter. It was a no-doubter.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about like not now then when, like with the head coach too, right? Like how much I know Cincinnati is like, they don't fire their coaches. They had Marvin Lewis there, for my entire life. So I know they're not ones to like fire coaches, but like Nagy's kind of like, this is a make or break season. I think maybe for him, all the pieces are there. They're going out making moves. Like he's got to get it done now, or he might be on the hot seat if he's not already.
So if you're keeping track at home, me and Bernie both agree the Browns, Steelers probably finished 4-3, but we do have them flip-flopped. I got the Bengals plus the 184, the win of the division. Bernie has the Ravens. If you were laying action on that, that is minus 112. But look at those odds for the Steelers, plus 510, and the Browns, plus 2,100. Incredible. Oh my God.
Yeah, If it was 10 years ago, Deshaun Watson, then maybe.
Yeah. Switching gears, we're gonna head over to the AFC South. Another like kind of like wide open. I mean, I don't say wide open, but I mean when we kind of like talking about this, I'm like it really can go in either direction. Whoever gets hot and plays
Hmm.
well, between like I know the Titans are going through another team that's going through a rebuild. The Colts obviously questions at quarterback when you have a quarterback. Questions at quarterback, especially when your quarterback tears what was it, the MCL or the ACL or
Hmm.
Achilles or something like that. So he's coming
Yeah.
off of that. And then you have the Texans who, um, you know, played scrappy, down the end, but obviously ended up losing to the Patriots in the playoffs, and then the Jaguars. So I think we're different on this. I have the Colts finishing last in this division, and you actually are pretty high on the Colts finishing second in the division.
Correct. Yeah.
So I mean,
Um,
the Colts, they lost Pittman. Like we just talked about, not a sexy signing for Pittsburgh, but still was their number one guy. And I will say, like the Danny Dimes or Daniel Jones or whatever if you're into your fancy nicknames, him coming off that Achilles injury is going to be a major issue. And then let's like name drop Anthony Richardson. Is he going to be good? Is he ever going to be good? I don't believe in Anthony Richardson. I think Daniel Jones is a serviceable quarterback. I don't think he's exactly top tier elite. But you're the one that has him in second place. So I actually love to hear how the Colts jump, from there to there.
I just after seeing C.J. Stroud in the playoffs last year, I don't believe that he has enough to get it done. I know Houston's defense is, if not the best, top two or three. It's for me, it's them, it's the Rams now, and Denver are probably the top three defenses. But they lost Jaden Higgins, their number two, so they have Nico Collins and then a bunch of guys. Tank Dell's coming back, but again, he's missed like 2 years almost in a row with injury. So he just blew out his knee, so he's not coming back. They added Montgomery. He'll get a lot of goal line work, but you got to get him down to the goal line for it to work. I just see Houston having a little bit of a regression. And with Indy, they're always in the hunt for some reason. They kind of remind me of Pittsburgh, but a little different just because there's been times where they've scored points and taken that extra step, um, you know, offensively. I love Tyler Warren in his second year. They have Jonathan Taylor who can maybe take some of the stress off of Daniel Jones, depending on how injured he is or not, to keep them afloat. I mean, I don't know what their schedule opens up like. I've only looked at a couple teams that their schedule opens as, but if they play Tennessee, I think if you score against Houston, you can beat Houston. Um, Alec Pierce is a little banged up, but Josh Downs is there. I'm looking for him to have a good year, kind of a breakout guy in fantasy. I just it's not as much that I like Indy more than it is that I think Houston's going to have a regression. Is what it is, and I wouldn't put Indy to win it all, and it might be by a game, right? It might
Yeah,
be
yeah,
Indy wins 10 games and Houston wins nine. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But I think Jacksonville is the clear number one in this division.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because I just pulled up the Colts schedule. They open up against the Ravens, then they travel to KC, then
Oof.
they're home against the Texans, on the
Yeah.
road against the Commanders, and on the road against the Steelers. So they open up quite a little bit of a gauntlet here.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
be honest, So, um, but
If they can go, if they can go 2-1 in those first three games, and this is a little foreshadowing for something else that I have later in here
yeah,
about early schedules. But if they go 2-1 in those first three games, I mean they could be 3-2, 4-1 to start. You know what I mean? So, and I don't know what Kansas City is going to really look like with
yeah,
Mahomes. I think they're going to rely on the run a little bit, which is why they picked up Kenneth Walker probably. But
yep.
yeah, so that's why I have India too.
Yeah, I mean, so and to be fair too, Indy did start 8-2 and then ended up losing their last 7 straight. So I mean, they can definitely start
Once,
hot
yeah,
and have a good season.
Once Jones got hurt, everything went meow, which is crazy to think, right? Oh, we lost Daniel Jones, and our season went to shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I have the Titans finishing third. You have them finishing dead last. Um, Obviously they cleaned house over there. It looks like a complete rebuild for them as well. Um, for me, it's like the Titans and the Colts are, like you said, it's going to be like a game difference for me. I like the fact that they signed Robert Saleh. I think he's actually a pretty decent coach.
I did too.
I just don't know how. I just don't know Cam Ward's situation. Like I am so 50-50 on him. I think it looks like some kid that has like all the talent in the world, but I just don't know if he wants it that bad. Like to be
I like him.
best. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like him. I think he's like that dynamic player. I just don't know if he has that like I want to be great factor in him.
Hmm. They have
So
they drafted Carnell Tate, I think fourth overall,
yep.
and they brought in what's his name there, Wandale Robinson, who's just all he does is catch 100 balls a year the past like 2 or 3 years. So they put stuff around him to hopefully help him succeed. They're going to be a fun team to watch. They
Yeah.
really are. I
Well, I mean,
like them.
and I
I
think
just don't know if
Salah
it's
did.
going to translate to wins. You know?
Yeah, I think Salah did the right thing too. Like if you look at like all the guys that they signed, like on the defensive side, they're all Robert Salah guys that he's coached previously. So it
Yeah,
should hit
yeah.
the ground running, like no problem when they get into the scheme. The only thing is, I know you've kind of liked him over the past too. Like Dayball is the new OC over there. I've just never
Hmm.
really been. I'm whatever about him. I know you liked him, and you actually on him about like maybe coach of the year at one point.
Yeah,
I think it was
with
last
the
season.
Giants a
Yeah.
couple of years ago. Yeah.
So
He's one of those guys that I think is just a better coordinator than he is a coach, and it
yeah.
happens all the
Well,
time. You know what I mean?
then he's right in his bone zone right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's
which
right in his
is
bone
yeah,
zone.
yeah. I agree.
So I have the Texans regressing, but not as bad as you do. Obviously, I think you have the Texans third.
Three.
I haven't finished in second. Big question for me. It's not can CJ Stroud play the position. I think he's actually really good. It's that offensive line. If you watched like we watched the playoff game, the Patriots just beat the snot out of him, and that's why they won the game. That offensive line was a sieve.
Yeah.
They couldn't protect him. Are they going to be able to protect him? Because if they don't, this kid's going to end up on a stretcher and not playing football for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? Because he's just taking way too many hits. But I do think they have legitimately enough a defense that can carry them. That defense is going to let
Yeah.
up like under 20 points a game. Like
Yeah, for sure.
legitimately. So they can definitely just ride. What do they call it? Like 3 yards in a cloud of dust. If they have to do that. But it is going to be the biggest question mark of that team is the offensive line. Can they protect C.J. Stroud? Because the defense is going to do their part.
Yeah, for sure. And Stephen Bernard said, "Found you, ha ha ha."
I did. I looked over there. I said,
Yeah.
great job, Steve. You figured it out. One of our biggest followers on the page, Steve. Just so you know, I can show you right now. Like I was telling you, this is why this is way better. Anytime you guys put up a legit comment that's really good, we can throw it up there. If you guys have any hot takes yourself and you have questions, if you have comments, we can definitely throw them up there. So don't be afraid to get active on the chat there. And for me, I have the Jaguars. I think we both have the Jaguars winning the division. Because straight up, I think Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in the division. I hope we get the better version of Travis Hunter this year that like all the hype was about. I hope we finally get that two-way player that is all the excitement that was surrounding him when he came out in the draft last year.
Yeah, you want to talk about somebody who took another step, and it might be just because they finally got him some weapons and like they have a good defense. But Lawrence was like borderline, like, man, was he worth the number one pick? Not bust, but like one of those guys that like another one that goes down in history where it's like you took him early in the first round and they were okay, but they didn't really pan out to what you thought they were. But because I remember, for a long time, you and I were talking about that he was averaging like one touchdown a game. Like he
Yeah.
only had like up until last season, I think he had like only like 6, 7 games where he had more than one touchdown thrown, but now he has Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas Jr., Parker Washington, who looked like a stud at the end of last year. He might be their number one, honestly. He might have surpassed BTJ if
Yeah.
if he's still kind of banged up. Bashal Tutin is a guy that's looking to solidify himself after they got rid of ETN as like their number one guy. They picked up Chris Rodriguez, who is Liam Cohen's guy because Liam Cohen coached him in Kentucky. So now he's the backup. Got to let it get a lot of goal line work. So they find, and Bretton Strange, you know what I mean, is another. They have a good group of guys that are like good, and some and offensively, some guys that are just like they're poised to break out. It's a
Yeah,
really good
to have
combination.
Yeah.
So like if Parker Washington doesn't break out, they can just get it to old reliable Jacoby Myers or Brian Thomas Jr., who had one of the best rookie seasons of a wide receiver in a long time. So they've got a good thing going, and their defense is good. And I just love Liam Cohen Duval. I just loved Liam Cohen, former Buccaneers coach. This Jags team is starting to be like my AFC Tampa, same state, you know what I mean?
Same state, same
Just
AFC South, NFC South.
yeah,
Yeah.
my old OC who I like, who did great things with Baker Mayfield, right, and turned him around, and now he's doing it offensively in Jacksonville and getting stuff out of Justin Lawrence.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. It's been a long time since I've talked a lot about football.
Corey Lawrence from Boy Meets World.
Yeah,
Corey Lawrence.
yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
Topanga Lawrence. Is that what her name was? Topanga Lawrence. That's what it was.
Yes,
Yeah. Corey
yeah,
Matthews, actually. That's what it was.
yeah.
But yeah, we're a little different in the NFC South here, where I have the Colts, Titans, Texans, Jags, and you have Titans, Texans, Indy, Jags. But I mean, I think it's pretty fair to safe to say, which would be a great play according to the odds here. The odds makers are leaning more towards the Texans than they are the Jaguars. So I think it's safe to say that we both would take the Jaguars plus a 245 to win the
I love
AFC South. I love it too, to win the AFC South. Switching gears next, we're gonna go out west to the AFC West, and posting right now are the division odds for the AFC West champion and who they think is going to come out of that. The odds makers seem to think that a healthy Patrick Mahomes is still worth giving them the favorite. They believe in the Chargers a little bit, and they slid the division winner from last year, the Broncos, back to third. I think we obviously, without saying, it's pretty safe to say that we both think that the Raiders, the Raiders are going to finish fourth, but then it gets a little wonky with the other three teams.
Yeah.
I'll start by saying about the Raiders this. I don't want to dump on them at all, because I really do think they're doing something good over there. I think Mendoza is going to be legit. You asked me earlier this week. We were doing pre-show stuff. What do you think of Mendoza? I think he's legit. I really do. I think he's in a great spot too. Kirk Cousins obviously played for the Falcons. His situation was a little differently there. He thought he was going to be the starter, and they weren't going to draft a quarterback. He at least went into this situation knowing, hey, we're going to draft the Mendoza kid, but we do want you to start the season. So it's most likely going to be Kirk Cousins starting the year, and this kid being able to learn, watch a little bit of football before he comes right in. But I'll tell you right now, seeing some preseason with this kid, he can absolutely sling it. He can scoot a little bit. So I think the Raiders are doing the right thing in trying to build around him, and they're trying to build from the bottom up in the draft.
The thing I do like about Mendoza is he just doesn't seem to get rattled when he makes mistakes, right? Or has goes 3-0 or whatever, where some people are such hotheads and used to, like Johnny Manziel or even Mayfield, right? When he first started, like these guys that thought that they were, the cat's pajamas in college and no one could stop them. And then they get to the big time and they realize, the competition's a little bit different, and they make mistakes and they just start to fold like an accordion, and I don't see Mendoza really doing that, so I do like his poise, if you will, and he's just a guy that I kind of want to root for. He just seems like like a good dude who cares about football. He's not Jackson Dart, who I like to watch play, but he also just has a really punchable face. I just, you know what I mean? I like Mendoza. I'm rooting for him. So
Yeah, somebody said too, and you like, for you guys that don't watch college football, I mean, some of the people watching aren't like college football. I mean, to take the Indiana team that he did to a national championship is like
yeah,
one of the biggest surprises in college football,
hundred
maybe
percent.
history. I mean, with the cream of the crop of that conference, the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Penn States and all that, and for him to come out, that team to come out of that, and go through the national championship playoff,
Yeah.
and win the whole thing, is pretty remarkable. That you could
Think
tell
about this.
the kid's got that thing, that it factor.
You say Alabama, you say LSU, you say Oklahoma. What do you think about? Football.
Yeah,
You say Indiana. What do you think about?
basketball.
Basketball. You know what I mean? They're not a powerhouse college football team. That they probably don't. You got to recruit someone to come to Indiana. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's not happening. You know what I mean? So for him to do that with a team like that and just like crush teams through the
Oh
playoffs, you're
yeah.
like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
man, they're just here comes Alabama, here comes
Yeah.
this team, here comes this team. You know what I mean? And it's just like, nope, nope, nope. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So just boots to asses, man.
Honestly, I'd
Yeah,
give the Raiders like a decent shot if their division wasn't arguably the
loaded.
hardest division in football. I mean, let's face it,
Yeah,
the AFC West is probably arguably the toughest division in football. But here we go with the number 3, where this is where it gets a little wonky for us, where we don't necessarily agree with each other. I have the Chargers finishing third, and you have Kansas City Chiefs finishing third. I just, for all the reasons you're going to be opposite of me, I just don't believe in Herbert.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm just out on Herbert. I think like he is going to get himself in a really good spot though, because Mike McDaniel, former Dolphins coach, now coming over, is going to be the OC over there for them, and he made Tua look like the next coming of Dan Marino for
hmm
18 months when Tua was the quarterback for the Dolphins. But at the same time, I say Waddle, and as good as McConkey is, he's not Waddle and he's not Tyreek Hill.
hmm
But I do think Herbert does have a good situation in Mike McDaniel. But I just don't believe in him. I just don't. I'm sorry. The Chargers charger every December, January.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could put a blanket over these three teams as far as win total. I think the Chargers might get it by a game. I think it's going to be really competitive, but I'm not saying that the Chargers are going to win anything. They might win the division and they'll lose in the first round of the playoffs or the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
match that they have. But I think regular season wise, I think Herbert might, McDaniel might be able to unlock something in him a little bit more than what he has, because he has a talent and everything's there. I'm
Oh yeah.
more I'm more like hitching my wagon to Omari and Hampton, the running back. I think that he is going to be an absolute stud. I think what McDaniel did with Devon A-Chain, however you want to say his name, I think he's going to do the same thing with Omari and Hampton. And I really like the Chargers offensively, and their defenses, they're getting a little bit old back there too. But I think they have the best offensive capabilities in this division, with a couple teams that are going to probably rely more on defense. So that's why I like the Chargers. The same reason we were talking about, you're kind of rooting for Burrow. Like, now's the
Yeah.
time. That's how I am with Herbert. He's a former Duck. I watched him play at Oregon. He's from Oregon. Like, I like him. I'm rooting for him, and I think this is the season where the Chargers can really win some games in the regular season. And then it's up to Herbert to change that narrative of who he is in the playoffs, because he just doesn't win in the playoffs, and I don't think McDaniels really does either. So,
Yeah.
but I think getting there is not going to be a problem.
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, because obviously you'll obviously, by process of elimination, you'll have the Chiefs finishing third, where I have them, coming in second this year. Because
Mhm.
dare I say, I'm excited about the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Going out and getting Peter Woods to play next to Chris Jones on the defensive line is like
Hmm.
actually something that like, oh wow, look at the Chiefs are actually trying to invest in a defense because they know that they can't just continue to win shootouts all the time with Patrick Mahomes because they've rolled him out there for so many years and he has got it done, basically running point guard for the Kansas City Chiefs in their high powered offense that he's now starting to feel some nicks and bruises and is missing some time. I mean, let's see. You don't have to be a Patrick Mahomes fan to realize that, like, geez, I mean, he takes a lot of hits, and he's been
Hmm.
seems to be like his body language. He seems to be more hobbled now than he did when he obviously first came into the league. And we talked about it earlier. You hit on the head. I love the Kenneth Walker the third signing. Super
Hmm.
Bowl MVP now joining the Kansas City Chiefs, and hopefully take a little pressure off the Kansas City Chiefs. And I believe in Andy Reid and I believe in Patrick Mahomes. So not enough that I think they win the division, but I definitely think they make the playoffs as one of the wild cards, finishing second in the division.
And as far as fantasy standpoint, if you're drafting the back half to middle of the first round in your fantasy draft, and Kenneth Walker comes back around to you in the second round, and you have like the eighth pick, ninth pick, you've got to take him. He is
Yeah.
the bell cow. He's never been in a situation. He always split carries with Charbonnet, and now he's going to be the guy here in Kansas City. And if they're going to try to work Mahomes back, and obviously he's their prized possession. They're not gonna let him speed on the highway. You know what I mean? They're gonna take back roads until he's ready. So just they're gonna pound the ball with Kenneth Walker and maybe some short passes to Worthy and get the ball out quick so Mahomes can stay healthy and rely on their defense. So if you're somebody that has that first round, like mid round, kind of late round, like in Walker's there on the way back, like you got to take him. He's going to be a top 10 back. So,
And I have the Broncos repeating as the division champions. I believe in Sean Payton. I think he's probably the top 3 coach in the league. I love that he's gotten Bo Nix to look like a reincarnated version of Drew Brees and how that train used to roll in New Orleans, where they were a good 12, 13 win team just about every single year. Denver is a hard place to play. So there's a distinct home field advantage there. And I'm going to be honest with you. I know Patriots fans don't want to hear it, but if Bo Nix doesn't get hurt, the Broncos are probably representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. I mean,
100%.
I know it's not a super hot take, but I know it's not a happy take here in New England to hear that. Where we're broadcasting from here in the greatest part of the country, New England. But it's my honest feeling. It's my honest feeling. If he plays, they're going to the Super Bowl. And definitely giving Seattle a little bit of a better puncher's chance in that game.
Two things. Speaking of punching, I mean, he's another guy I just want to punch right in the face.
Oh,
Bo Nix.
Nick.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. He's good. He's a good quarterback, and like I said, fantasy wise, I think he's a good quarterback to wait on late because they added Waddle to the offense. But here's another thing: this might be the best coach division in football if you really look
Easily.
at it. You got Harbaugh, you got Peyton, you got Reed, and even Vegas got Clint Kubiak. And I know he's new, but he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Falcons that was their number 2 if they didn't, so it's a great probably you're right. It's probably the best coach division in football.
Stuff. That's why I mean, like I said, I think the top 3 teams you could just throw it might come down to tiebreaker. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw 12 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins out of Denver and the Chargers, and 11 out of Kansas City, but the Chargers have a tie break. I think that the top 3 there are going to be so close to one another. It's something's going to come down to a tiebreaker to see who's in second, who's in third, who's in first.
So to be honest with you, like we'll do our the teams that we think are going to make the playoffs at the end of the show here. But I honestly was in between 3 teams coming out of the West to make the playoffs. like trying to
Yeah.
figure out how that math works and how they all get to double-digit wins and they all can make the playoffs. But you're right; it's going to come down to some sort of tiebreaker, strength of schedule versus conference opponents, and everything like that to
Hmm.
see how this whole thing shakes out. Who wins this division and who definitely gets another wild card out of that division.
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
obviously 2 teams make the playoffs out of this division, potentially 3
Yeah.
out of those guys. So. And last but certainly not least, I think what a lot of people have been holding on for are thoughts on the AFC East. I think it's fairly safe to say that it's a 2-team race here in the AFC East. The Dolphins are in a complete. We've used the word rebuild a couple times. They are in a rebuild. The Dolphins. When you draft, what was it, 13 guys, and 9 of them are on the depth chart as first and second depth on the
Hmm.
depth chart, you know you're rebuilding. 13 draft
Yeah.
picks, and 9 of them are going to see substantial playing time, according to the Miami Dolphin depth chart right now as we speak. So I think it's safe to say we both had the Dolphins finishing dead last in the division because of those reasons, having a complete rebuild. And let's face it, it stinks when you have to play the Patriots 2 times and the Bills 2 times in a division that you're not very good in.
Yeah. I mean, they got rid of Waddle. They got rid. I mean, this. I follow depth charts,
Waddle, who
especially.
went to the Broncos, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I know. So it's just another weapon for them, you know.
Yeah,
But with Miami, it's like I follow a lot of offensive teams' offenses because of how much I invest into fantasy, and I don't know who's going to be their number one. I don't know who's going to be there. I know who their running back is, and I know who their quarterback is.
yeah,
Outside of that, like they're the guys who are going to catch the ball could be anybody. Someone is going to pick up someone from the Dolphins off the waiver wire that nobody even saw, like on the, being on the team, and they're going to end
yeah,
up being their number one. They got nobody to throw to. They grabbed Malik Willis, like BFD, dude. Like
yeah,
I don't know where all that love came from. What, because he just, no pun intended, but Love got hurt and then he came in and was like looked okay, like, and
yeah.
they paid him pretty well. Like I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, like you said, if their depth chart, I didn't realize that if their depth chart has that many rookies like ready to having to go out there and do like especially against Drake May and Josh Allen and even Geno Smith. Like, say what you will about Geno Smith, but
Yeah,
like he can throw the ball around the yard, man.
yeah.
And they got some decent weapons, believe it or not. The Jets do, so they'll be
Yeah, I
putting up
mean,
some points.
to put this whole thing in perspective, as we're going through all these divisions, the Dolphins are plus 4,000 to win the division.
Yeah.
The Raiders and Browns are plus 2,000 and plus 2,100 respectively. The Raiders
Yeah.
and Browns, and these guys are double that to win the
Yeah.
AFC East at plus 4,000.
I'm gonna put a
And I think
dollar on him to win the Super Bowl.
yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, come on. I
Yeah.
mean, but like I said, like when you draft 13 guys and 9 of them are on the first or second on the depth chart,
Yeah,
at
that's
their
wild. I didn't
positions
realize that.
respectively, that's saying we're rebuilding without saying we're rebuilding.
100%.
And I think we both agree the Jets, obviously, unless the Jets are going to finish third in the division. But I will say this about the Jets: they are closer to the Bills and Patriots than they are the Dolphins,
I
finishing
agree.
third in the division. It's a big gap. Don't get me wrong, between the Jets and Dolphins and Patriots Bills, but the Jets are a little bit closer to those guys than they are the Dolphins in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things. And like you said, Eugene Smith.
Yeah.
Um,
Back to where it all began. Didn't he
yeah,
start with the Didn't he start with the Jets?
you got drafted by them, yeah, and then went out to
Yeah.
Seattle, had a nice little had
Yeah.
a nice little run out there, and then he's come
He's
back.
doing. It's LeBron, man. He's coming home.
Yeah. So I
He's
I
coming
like
back.
I like the fact that the Jets will at least not lay down and die. They're gonna play games and they're gonna be super annoying. That like I think everybody will schedule. Everybody on their schedule is going to circle the Jets as a win, but the Jets are going to come in and be a wicked pain in the ass
Yeah, I
to
agree.
everybody on their schedule. They're going to be a wicked pain. They're going to be a pain in the ass to the Bills. They're going to be a pain in the ass for the Patriots. And and whoever else they play on the schedule that everybody's like, oh, we're playing the Jets this week. Circle that as a win.
Yeah, they're gonna snake bite someone. It'll probably be like if you go against, it's gonna be like you go against them and you survive a pool, and they're gonna snake bite some teams. They're gonna beat
Yeah, you're
some
gonna sit
team
there and
that.
like, I can't believe I'm sweating this out.
Yeah.
I have them in a
Yeah.
survival pool, and I need the Jets to
Yeah.
lose right now.
I got Jacksonville over the Jets, and then it's the fourth quarter, and it's like it's a
It's a
3-point game,
one-score
and you're
game.
like, what the hell are we doing? And Gino's out there throwing bombs to Garrett Wilson
Yeah.
and AD Mitchell, and yeah, they're gonna put up some points, and props to them for sticking with Aaron Glenn too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so much teams, especially the Jets, so many teams, they bring in new coaches and they expect them to just like turn everything around like so quickly. It's like let them get their system down and bring some players in and help them. You're dealing with someone else's shit here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're leaving you a bag of crap, and then they don't give you enough time to fix it. It happens all the time. You got to give people a few years to get it going. Not to mention you're in the AFC East with the Bills and Pats, so it's like just be competitive.
Well, this will be music to Patriots fans' ears too, because the Jets are holding a current streak right now that obviously was. I don't say obviously because there's always a percentage chance that it happens. The Jets don't make the playoffs, but there will be 15 straight years. It's been 15 straight years that the Jets haven't made the playoffs. That is the longest running streak in all the four major sports.
Wow, really?
4 major sports. Yeah, 15
Not even
straight years.
football. Wow.
Yeah, 15 straight years they haven't made the playoffs. That is the longest streak across the 4 majors: baseball, hockey, and basketball. So the Jets have a streak going. It's not a very nice one, but I think it's going to be year number 16 in a row. After it's
Gino
all said and
time.
done. Yeah. So here we go. What everybody wants to hear, what I think everybody's here. What do we think the AFC East? Who's going to pan out? I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I got the Bills. I got the Bills winning the division. I know. Rip, you're a hater. You've been a hater for your whole life. I get it. I'm just taking the better of the two guys, honestly, in Josh Allen and Drake May. There's a reason Josh Allen is top 3 or 2 odds to win the MVP. Because
Every year.
He's that guy. He's that guy in the league. You saw it in New England last year. I think they had like a 20-something point lead, if not more, on the Bills, and the Bills rallied all the way back at your place and won the game. I think the DJ Moore signing, who me and you have been able to see a lot of when he played for Carolina, because our favorite teams are in the NFC South. We saw a lot of DJ Moore. I think that signing is going under the radar because of how good the AJ Brown signing was. Such a splash. And I think it's the move for them, the Bills. They rally back around. I think the Patriots snuck up on the Bills last year. I think the Patriots snuck up on everybody. I don't think anybody obviously believed that the Patriots schedule would be, and I hate bringing this up because I do think it's low-hanging fruit, how soft the schedule was, and they would actually rally and win all those games that were close down the stretch to end up winning the AFC East.
Yeah, I went back and forth with this, just kind of, with the Bills and Pats, and just your head was like this for a long time. I thought we froze.
No, yeah. I'm just looking at my notes here.
Yeah.
That's all. I write some notes down before the show just so I don't flop up.
I did too. But
I wanted to make sure I was like DJ Moore, right? It was DJ Moore.
Yeah. So I went back and forth on this. And I just think the signing of AJ Brown, I think AJ Brown is about to have the best season of his career, and that's wild to say at the age that he is. I don't want to like compare it to Randy Moss, because that's bananas to do that. But I think it's going to be a rejuvenation, and I don't know if it will last 2, 3, 4 years with him, but I think this new year, new person, like new situation, back with an old coach, I just think he's the perfect wideout for for Drake May, and then it allows the other guys that used to be, ones, twos to move down a little bit on the depth chart, and it's an upgrade from Steph Diggs. And Steph Diggs had a great year last year, but AJ Brown might go off. And I love the defense. Obviously, there is a little bit of that offensive line worry with Campbell, but I think Campbell's getting a little bit more of a bad rap than he deserves. He was.
I think it
He
was
played
picked so
some.
high. You pick so high, and there's such high expectations when you're an offensive
Yeah,
lineman picked that high, that they start throwing stones at you. You know what I mean? Jake Matthews gets the same thing all the time in Atlanta, and he's a really good franchise left tackle. I
yeah.
hear it all the time.
And he got banged up, and then the playoffs come, and you have to go against Houston. You have to go against Denver. Like, who did they play before that? Was it the Chargers? No, who did they beat?
Jaguars.
Jaguars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like he played against some good competition. You know what I mean? So I get the worrisome, but I don't think there should be that much hate. But the number one thing, and everyone knows it, and it's all anyone in this area is talking about, is what is going to happen with Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the huge thing about this team right now. Because if he holds out, or they trade him for picks, or there's a lot of scenarios. Because let's be honest, the Pats have never really opened up the bank to sign anyone. They didn't even do it with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So but they'll sign Hunter Henry to an extension because it's not gonna
Team friendly.
team friendly, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what the Patriots do, right? They give you this money, and then but what's the signing bonus, or what's the incentives? And so, but also, like, Christian Gonzalez, like, F off, dude. Like, you just sniffed the league. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
you think you're the best cornerback in football. Like,
You gotta strike while the
knock
iron's
it off.
hot.
I know,
Yeah.
but knock it off, dude. Knock it off. I think he's great. Okay, but he's overrated. He's not Patrick Surtain. He's not Stingley. He might not even be Reek Witherspoon, who's the guy that they're like, oh, he's going to set the market. And then what is Gonzalez going to do? He's going to want the same as him, if not more. It's like, you're not that guy, and I get it. Like, you want to get your money while you can. But at the same time, like, and this is somebody, like, obviously they'll never see that amount of money. So, like, if I even had a tenth of what he has, I'd be happy. But,
Yeah.
I just think, like, I just think he's not as good as what he thinks he is, or what people think he is. But at the same time,
yeah, he's definitely a game changer, like, out on that spot. Like,
yeah,
when you have a great lockdown corner, like, it really does from a figuring out your defense and what you want to do scheme wise, it really does make things a lot easier for everybody else on the defense to know that side, that guy is taken care of. And it almost, like, cuts the field into a third where, like, offenses aren't even going to try to go that way. So I understand the love for him. I do. I completely understand the love, but I tend to agree, like, is this the right time? Like, can you just, play it out a little bit and, maybe ask for, what, I don't know. It's hard when you can't live in that world. I don't live in that world.
And also, you don't know what the conversations are going on behind closed doors. You don't know the conversations he's had with Kraft, or what Kraft has had with his agent, or any of that. So, but also, I'm not saying Christian Gonzalez isn't a great player. He clearly is. What I'm saying is, I don't know if I'm ready to anoint him as, like, the best, or, like, even, like, a top 5 corner. But if you don't have him, who's your number one? Carlton Davis, and now Marcus Jones becomes your 2, and then it's like it gets a little dicey out there. So
I guess I ask you this question then: is it a bigger distraction than that the New England media is making it out to be, or is it, like, legit the distraction you think on the team, like something like that?
I don't. I think that I think it's a little of both. If it was a pie, I would say it's probably like 70-30 media towards media, and then
Making it a bigger
team.
deal than it is.
Yeah, because you have to.
Yeah,
What else are they going to talk about right now? It's baseball
yeah.
season.
No,
Nothing
the Red
else is
Sox are
going
pretty good.
on.
Red
Yeah,
Sox are
yeah,
pretty good. I mean,
yeah. You know what I mean?
Jalen
But
Brown's
you know,
gone. I mean, I don't know. Like,
yeah. So Jalen Brown's been gone. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
like this is the hot topic that everyone wants to talk about and what they have to talk about. Because if they
yeah,
don't, what are they going to talk about? The cornhole championships? Like,
yeah,
you know, Sophie Cunningham and that whole thing. So like,
yeah.
it's just it's what the media does, right? I don't think it's as bad in house as it is perceived outside.
So I do think they take a step back. Like I want to bring into like the schedule part of it like one last time. Because I just don't want to beat it ad nauseum, and I really want to try to drive home this point. Like I think as an outsider and not being a huge fan of this team, when people say that they're going to take a step back because the schedule is so easy, is it hard to think that the Patriots could go 12-5? That's 2 losses less than last year. They went 14-3. I mean, I think it's crazy to think they're going to have another 14-win season. 12-5 is still really, really good. Like, so I only think that like I have them somewhere pegged between 11 and 13 wins. I don't see them getting to the 14 mark again. So when
Yeah,
me and the haters say that they're going to take a step back because the schedule was so easy, stop being so goddamn sensitive about it, guys. Honestly, like you
yeah,
guys, stop being so. It was an easy schedule, and you did what you had to do. You beat all the teams that you were supposed to. You weren't supposed to beat those teams.
and
If we're being honest, to when the season started, but then you started rolling, and it's like, oh, we beat the Bills in Buffalo. We can beat anybody now.
yeah,
That's what
and
the narrative changed.
and
Okay.
you lost to the Raiders,
Yes, and like week
so it
what
could have been
2?
even more, one or two. Yeah, did they
Yeah,
lose
week
to the
1 or 2,
Steelers too, or did they
and they
beat the
lost to the
Steelers?
Steelers like back to
Yeah,
back weeks, I think. But it
yeah.
didn't.
So
The narrative didn't change till you beat Buffalo on the road. That's
I
when
think,
it all changed.
yeah, and when you beat Tampa,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
who
we beat
turned
Tampa,
out,
but that was later in the season though. Like
yeah,
the Buffalo.
and Tampa turned out to be a sieve down the stretch.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No,
But
they did.
I was just about to say the same thing that you just said. Like there will be a regression. There's absolutely going to be a regression, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean we think they're going to be nine and
Yeah.
nine and eight.
And
You know
like
what I mean?
once.
I think they're still an 11-win team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think Buffalo, new coach, new arena. I think there might be a little like regression out of them too. And again, just like we were talking about with the West, I think it's going to be an absolute dogfight down the stretch. And I just trust like Vrabel and what's going on in New England over whoever the hell's coaching Buffalo. Who is their coach? Is it Munkin? Where did Munkin go?
No, it's the Joe Brady.
Joe Brady. Didn't we go to school with
Yeah.
a Joe Brady?
We definitely went to school with a Joe Brady. Like, and
It's
it's
not
not
him
obviously
though.
obviously not the same guys.
No.
So I'd like to at this point in the show, we're getting almost close to that hour mark that we like try to
Yeah.
spin off here. I like so my best plays that I have for the AFC and futures plays. I think we both agree that we like the Jaguars. They're a good
Mhm.
number at plus 245. Do you have another play that you also like for division
Uh,
winners?
yeah, the Chargers are plus 190.
Yep.
I like that. Baltimore's pretty much even money at minus 112. And if you like New England, which look where we are,
Yep.
they're plus 125, so almost even money for them as well.
My other two that I like, besides the Jaguars, I like the Broncos to win the division at plus 225. And I'm also on the Cincinnati bandwagon of them grabbing the division at plus 184, if I'm reading that correctly. And then I just want to throw this up one last time. Do you have a list of your playoff teams that you think is going to make the playoffs? I can give you a
Um,
second if you want.
yeah, no, I can do it right now.
All right.
So the division, we have Baltimore, Jacksonville, Chargers, and New England. And then what do we have? Four more?
So you
Two
got
more? How many?
you got Baltimore, Jags, Chargers, Pats, all winning the division, so they're in. Your second place teams are Cincy, Indy, Denver, Bills.
Yeah, how many make it? Six?
7.
Seven. Oh, it's seven now. That's right. All right.
Yeah.
So I'll go Baltimore,
Yep.
Cincy, 1, 2. Jacksonville, 3. Chargers, New England, that's 5. And
Yep.
then I'll go Buffalo and Denver.
Perfect. So we're fairly close. I just typed mine out real quick because I couldn't help myself. So I have for the playoff teams, I got the Broncos at 1. They'll take the 1 seed. I got the Bills at the 2 seed. The Jaguars at 3, Bengals at 4. I don't think the Pats are the 5th best team, so don't go crazy on me and rip me apart.
Yeah.
I don't think the Pats are the 5th best team in the division. I think they're probably the 2nd or 3rd best team in the division. But the way the wild card and all that stuff shakes out, they'll probably end up getting the 5th seed. I like the Chiefs in the 6th seed, and I'm going to take the Ravens begrudgingly as the 7th seed just because I think Lamar Jackson is better than Justin Herbert. I really wanted to put the Chargers in that 7 spot and have 3 teams come out of the AFC West, but I gotta go with the guy that wins MVPs and the guy that doesn't pee down the side of his leg. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, because I don't know if I can see Kansas City getting in, Cincinnati not, where Cincinnati's the 2 and Kansas City would be, for me, the 3 in the West. So that's why I kind of just left Kansas City on the outside looking in, which is scary to me to say, but when you break it all down, but gotta stick with what I got, stick with your guns.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, everybody, it was a great opening week, great opening show. Bernie, I'm so glad we're doing this again. Next week, we'll break down the NFC playoff picture and the NFC divisions and what we think's going on. And then we'll bring you guys right up to the start of the season. This is going to be our first time doing this this whole preseason show stuff. So we hope you guys enjoyed it. If you can, like and subscribe to the channel. It always helps us out a little bit, and hopefully we can just bring you guys way better content each and every single week. Until then, Bernie, thank you as always for hopping on and helping us build this thing. Like, you are the man.
You as well, sir.
All right. We'll see you later, folks.